A very good evening to you all and welcome to the English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. We are glad to have you with us. Let's begin with the top stories of the day. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, stated that there is no room for misconduct and emphasized the importance of accountability. The government of Rwanda has assured citizens that the country's economy is well managed and will continue to grow. On the international scene, a magnitude of 7.7 earthquake has hit Myanmar, and it was followed by powerful aftershocks in Thailand and in elsewhere in southern Asia. My name is Olive Nete, and it's always a pleasure to have you with us. Now let's kick off today's edition. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, stated that there is no room for misconduct and emphasized the importance of accountability. He stressed that those in positions of responsibility must ensure that the citizens live with the assurance of proper protection. Adam Squizera has more on this.
After receiving the oath of the newly appointed Secretary General of the Rwanda Investigation Bureau RIB, Colonel Pacific Kabanda Kayigamba, who replaced retired Colonel Jano Ruhunga, President Paul Kagame acknowledged the significant progress this institution made over the past 8 years. He highlighted RIB's advancements in criminal investigations and its role in strengthening national security. The head of state emphasized the need to invest in building this sector sustainably to effectively address the growing complexity of crimes, particularly involving technology. We must use all the resources at our disposal to confront these changes and enhance our investigative capabilities, whether through crime research and advancement forensic science, digital forensic, and adopting innovative approaches based on advanced technology, including the now prevalent artificial intelligence, hence to build our investigative capabilities. President Paul Kagame stated that there is no room for misconduct and emphasized the importance of accountability. He stressed that those in positions of responsibility must ensure that citizens live with the assurance of proper protection. We must not accept weakness or misconduct. True professionals never tolerate it. Instead, they fight against it. Our responsibility is to ensure that every person can live their life with the assurance of proper protection. Then other daily matters can flow as normal, but there should be no tolerance for such mistakes. President Paul Kagame also urged the newly appointed Secretary General of the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, RIB, to work closely with other relevant institutions to ensure that justice is delivered swiftly and efficiently. Colonel Pacific Kabanda Kayigamba previously served as the Chief Prosecutor of the Rwanda Defense Force RDF, his recent position before being appointed to Secretary General of the Rwanda Investigation Bureau. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for the detailed report. Now moving ahead to other matters, the government of Rwanda has assured citizens that the country's economy is well managed and will continue to grow. This statement was made as the Prime Minister, Dr. Edward Ngirente, addressed both chambers of parliament in a discussion focused on the government's efforts to boost industrial production and exports for sustainable economic development.
We plan for export revenues to at least double, increasing from $3.5 billion in 2023 to $7.3 billion by 2029. This is our target, and we believe that we will achieve it. To reach this goal, we will focus on increasing both the quality and the quantity of exported products. Additionally, we will enhance industrial productivity, boost output in the mining sector, and strengthen the tourism industry.
Members of both chambers of the parliament highlighted the areas that the government should focus on to achieve this goal. In response to questions from the members of the parliament, the Prime Minister, Dr. Edward Ngirente, stated that solutions are being sought for the challenges still present in the strategy to close the gap between exports and imports. The government of Rwanda has assured the citizens that the country's economy is well managed and will continue to grow.
Icyambere nuko guverinoma yize abanyarwanda ko ubukungu bw'igihugu cyacu buzakomeza gutera imbere.
The government reassures Rwandans that our economy will continue to improve. However, the key message I want to share is that our country's economy is well safeguarded to the fullest extent possible in the current global context. We are stable in the current global landscape, and I assure you of that.
Ihagaze natwe tuyagazemo neza. Nagira ngo rwose mbibizeze.
Prime Minister also outlined the government's strategies to increase the production of processed goods, where investment in the manufacturing sector has increased by 69.5% in 2023, and in this investment reached $76.6 million, up from $452 million in 2017. To other matters, the troops of the Southern African Development Community deployed on a mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo are authorized to withdraw with their weapons and equipment, with AFC M23 facilitating the implementation of this decision. William Evans with more on this.
On January 27, 2025, the South African Development Community Forces SADC had no choice but raise the white flag, signaling their defeat. The Kinshasa government, which allied with the FDLR militia, Burundian troops and various armed groups, collectively referred to as Wazalendo, had suffered significant setbacks. Meanwhile, the AFC/M23 coalition had firmly secured control of Goma, the capital of North Kivu province. A few weeks had passed since the SADC Heads of State Summit officially concluded the Summit DRC mission, leading to the withdrawal of deployed troops. This came after the earlier repatriation of the wounded and pregnant personnel. The final decision to be made was whether these troops would return home with their weapons and equipment or leave them behind on the battlefield, where they were defeated by local forces fighting for their rights. On Friday, a meeting between the chiefs of defense forces of SADC member states and the military leadership of the AFC/M23 coalition, which advocates for the rights of Congolese citizens, concluded that the departing troops would be allowed to withdraw with their weapons and equipment. South Africa, which has the largest number of troops, was represented by General Zan Mapwanya, while AFC/M23 was represented by the military coordinator, Major General Sultan Makenga. Among the senior commanders present were those from countries with troops deployed in the mission, including Tanzania and Malawi. Key decisions made at this meeting included that SADC would assist in repairing the Goma International Airport to facilitate the return of troops, while AFC/M23 was tasked with supporting the repatriation process to ensure smooth and effective withdrawal.
Thank you, Evans. Now to the financial sector. BK Group PLC has announced a net profit of 91 billion Rwandan francs for the past year, 2024, and this represents a 21.7% growth year-on-year compared to the 2023's profit, in which was 74.8 billion Rwandan francs. According to the group's CEO, Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, the bank also expanded its balance sheet.
In short, the group achieved a net profit of 91 billion Rwandan francs in 2024, compared to 74.8 billion the previous year, 2023, which represent a growth of 21.7% year-on-year. The bank expanded its balance sheet with a growth of total assets of 19.2%, reaching 2.5 trillion Rwandan francs year to date. We have expanded our lending, and the net loans and advances increased by 16.8%, reaching 1.4 trillion Rwandan francs from 1.2 trillion in 2023. We have mobilized deposits from our customers, and the growth in deposits was 19.5%, reaching 1.6 trillion Rwandan francs. All key performance indicators were very strong. The return on average assets was 3.9% from 3.8% in 2023, and the return on average equity was 22.6% from 21.8% the previous year. In summary, the group sustained its high income growth and revenues, conducted a prudent risk and asset management, resulting in the reduction of non-performance loans. It expanded its balance sheet and remained liquid and well capitalized.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Bank of Kigali, Dr. Diana Karusisi, explains that in the year 2025, they have specific programs aimed at promoting women and young people.
We have an SME center in the JIC building, and we've also hired many relationship officers and managers across our branch network. And the objective is not only to give loans, it's to support them to develop their projects and make them bankable, because sometimes the project is not fit for purpose and cannot be will not match the requirements of our credit appraisal process. So we want to support them and show them how to develop a project. So that's something we're doing already. We have a product called and a program called Katazana Beka for women. Under this program, women in business can get small loans up to 15 million without any collateral. This is across our branch network. This year, we have in our plans to build a branch that is dedicated to women because we want them to feel at home. We want them to get support beyond banking so they can build projects, build savings, but also build wealth. So this is what we have in plan for this year, and we believe that it's going to support us in growing in increasing access to finance for women.
Now to more news. Officers who have completed the training at the Rwanda Defense Force Command and Staff College in Nyakinama, located in Musanze district, have expressed confidence that the knowledge they have acquired will help them effectively fulfill their duties in ensuring security. This was the 24th cohort of the program, consisting of 71 officers from the Rwanda Defense Force, 2 officers from the Rwanda National Police, and 2 from the Rwanda Correctional Service. The training was designed for officers holding the ranks of major and captain and graduates, highlighting how it will enhance their performance.
The course, as I was saying, went well, and we have gained a lot of knowledge and skills that will be applied when commanding as tactical commanders. And we have learned new skills as operational staff work, where we'll be using now right ways to do our staff work, and as grade 3 commanders. I feel very, very much privileged as a young captain to be able to attend this course, and I'm very thankful to the RDF. leadership.
First of all, coming here, meeting new people. Although the RDF is very big, not everyone knows everyone. So it's a great pleasure to come here, to interact with fellow officers, and we learn so much from this school. As I was explaining, we learn about communication skills, operation skills, non-routine operations, staff work, maritime operations, air operation, and so on and so forth. So for the future, I hope that I have the ability and the knowledge required to do my daily work or task better than I was doing it. And also they gave me the ability to come back for further development courses.
The Chief of Defense Staff of the Rwanda Defense Forces Land Forces, Major General Vincent Nyakarundi, reminded the graduates that they must use the knowledge gained to safeguard national interests, a core duty of the Rwanda Defense Force.
To graduates, the course has equipped you with essential competencies, including foundational knowledge in military planning and the conduct of operations, an understanding of national security interests, and insight into the evolving nature of security challenges, both regionally and globally. You are tasked with renewing our sense of urgency and enhancing the effectiveness required to overcome our adversaries. As I congratulate you, graduates, for your milestone achievement to successfully complete this course, I challenge you to uphold RDF's noble responsibility of protecting the national interests whenever they are at stake.
During this 20-week training at the military college, the officers analyzed global security challenges, assessed their implications on national policy and international relations, and received advanced training in information sharing, battlefield leadership, administrative efficiency, and other critical areas. Now moving ahead, the management of Equity Bank in Rwanda has stated that 95% of loans taken by women are repaid successfully, a higher repayment rate compared to men. As a result, the bank is committed to eliminating barriers that discourage women from engaging with financial institutions. In Rwanda, 37.2% of Equity Bank's customers are women, highlighting their significant role in the country's economic development. Huntington Namara, the managing director of Equity Bank Rwanda, stated that the bank is dedicated to removing obstacles that hinder women's financial participation and empowering them to drive economic and social transformation. The governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Soraya Hakuziyaremye, urged women to take advantage of the available financial opportunities by applying for bank loans. She also called on Equity Bank to develop more inclusive projects that promote women's financial growth. Women entrepreneurs, business leaders, and stakeholders gathered for an event organized by the Equity Bank to celebrate International Women's Day. The primary goal was to encourage knowledge sharing between successful business women and those just starting out, to inspire confidence in pursuing entrepreneurship. Still on local matters, experts in agriculture say that conservation agriculture is considered a key pillar in building agriculture that can withstand climate change, and this is why farmers are beginning to adopt this approach and are appreciating its benefits. Some farmers from the Kirehe district state that since 2018, when they started practicing conservation agriculture, they have noticed a significant difference compared to when they were using the farming in the traditional way. Dr. Magnifique Ndambe-Nzaramba, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for RICA in charge of research and extension, says that conservation agriculture is based on three main principles.
Ensure sustainable production and sustainable food security. We can be food secure for a short period of time, but that's not sustainable if we don't conserve the soil. So the aim of conservation agriculture is primarily to conserve the soil, but keep it productive so that we can be able to produce food for generations. And that's why conservation agriculture is important. The key principles for conservation agriculture are mainly three, but at RICA we make them 8. I'll explain in a minute. But the first three, number one is minimum tillage. So we are saying you should only open the land if you're either planting or harvesting. So we should have as minimal land disturbance as we can. So we should keep the land not disturbed, because whether the land is disturbed or plowed or not plowed, the seed will germinate. And that's why we see weeds germinating in unplowed fields. So crops can also do that. Principle number 2 is keeping the soil covered. Principle number 3 is crop rotation. So encourage farmers to rotate and plant different families of crops. Either you can plant them from one season to another, or you can plant them in the same season, but you make sure you separate them on the field.
The Mennonite Central Committee and the World Food Programme are among the partners in the journey to promote environmentally sustainable agriculture. They also know the benefits of this kind of agriculture.
Due to climate change, we realize that farmers are affected heavily by sporadic rains, soil degradation, soil erosion. So we thought of how do we build their resilience so that they can continue to produce even with the difficulties of climate change. How do we build the resilience so that we do not only come when they are struck by a drought and they cannot feed themselves and we bring food? Why don't we work with the government to help in the journey of creating their resilience so that they can manage to deal with the difficulties of climate change and still produce, adapt to climate change, and also mitigate further environmental degradation. So it's in that line that we joined this momentum and movement of promoting conservation agriculture, because we realize that conservation agriculture is one of the approaches that is simple and can easily be scaled up to many farmers.
The Ministry of Agriculture indicates that the government of Rwanda is putting efforts into promoting conservation agriculture as it helps increase productivity in a sustainable manner. The agriculture sector is one of the key pillars of Rwanda's economy, and in the government's development acceleration plan, it is expected that this sector will grow by 6% annually, with production increasing by 50% over the next 5 years. Two other matters. On Friday, the University of Unilac signed a cooperation agreement with the city of Avani-Val d'Or in France. The partnership agreement between the Seventh-day Adventist University and the city of Avani-Val d'Or in France includes sharing knowledge about the cultures of Rwanda and France through culture exchange events organized by both parties, providing opportunities for Unilac students to gain practical experience, fostering visits, collaboration, and fundraising for research activities, as well as connecting Unilac with other universities in France. The Vice-Chancellor of Unilac, Professor Jean Gamige, explains what this partnership means for the university, and the mayor of the city of Avani-Val d'Or, Monsir Philippe, says there is a lot to gain from working with Unilac. And after the signing of the agreement, the mayor of Avani-Val d'Or also addressed the students of Unilac, highlighting the opportunities they will benefit from through this partnership. The agreement signed by both parties, it is first phase that will last for 3 years with the possibility of an extension. To other matters, various institutions involved in national development, including ministries and National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, convened to discuss the role of certain self-reliance initiatives in achieving sustainable development and eradicating poverty in the country. This discussion was part of the 4th edition of the study conducted in 2025 on human development in Rwanda. Dr. Fatmata Loveta Sesei, the UNDP resident representative in Rwanda, highlighted that over the past 30 years, Rwanda has demonstrated that collective efforts can lead to comprehensive human development.
For Rwanda, where over the years we've had high GDP growth rates, and we've seen in 30 years a drastic reduction in poverty, we have to show and tell that story in numbers and in detail. So that's why human development, for me, it's really central and key.
Now, Austin Chulu, an economist at UNDP, presented findings from the latest report on Rwanda's human development, emphasizing that Rwandans have taken ownership of their future by leveraging various government programs aimed at improving their well-being.
So there was a huge improvement in life expectancy, there were huge improvements in incomes, there were huge improvements in education indicators. And that is reflected in the level of growth of that index. We are still not where we want to be. We want to be even higher in terms of the attainment in education, attainment in health, attainment in economic activities and economic gain.
Now, moving ahead, the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Rwanda, in collaboration with the World Economic Forum, will host the Global AI Summit on African, happening for the very first time on the continent in Kigali. William Evans takes a look at Rwanda's AI outlook with the Director General of Innovation and Emerging Technologies at the Ministry of ICT.
Evans Mtabazi, and tonight we are going to talk all matters AI, looking at Rwanda's AI landscape. And to discuss this, I'm going to be with the Director General in charge of Innovation at the Ministry of ICT, Mrs. Esther Nkunda. You're most welcome to RTV News. Well, let's just get in straight up. If someone wanted to really understand Rwanda's AI, what is Rwanda's AI readiness and maturity status as of now?
So artificial intelligence is a technology that is currently in different areas that supports optimization of systems. Now with generative AI, we see how it's starting to go into new content generation, whether it's video, audio, and other spaces. And there's very clear applications in transformational, in some of our traditional sectors. So when we think about our readiness, I would still talk about the work that we've done to really digitize most of our government, especially, and most of our services. You've seen our connectivity, and I think we know the connectivity coverage that we do have, the increasing digital literacy among Rwandans, the work that we've done in bringing technology in schools, and the use. And then now, as we see more and more people are starting to have applications that do several things. So now AI is going to be included in some of these applications. So one of the key outcomes of the thing we've done is develop a policy that was adopted by Cabinet in 2023. We've also done, and that policy really sets the vision and the goal of the government to make Rwanda an innovation lab for AI in Africa. We also did an extensive research on what is the economic impact of AI for Rwanda, and what we found out is that with existing solutions on the market, and if we were to really harness the technology very well, we could potentially add about 6% to Rwanda's GDP. The other point that we've really made is that this technology, based on how it's changing the landscape, it's very important that we retain our culture, and our culture, mostly like language. So what we've done since 2018 is collect data sets, Kinyarwanda voice data sets. So today, the current solutions that we're trying to build are going to come to citizens in Kinyarwanda, in the language, both in voice and as well as in written. So that's what I could call in terms of readiness and what we've been doing over the last few years.
In terms of investment, infrastructure development, business, literacy, how are we doing as a country? How much have we done? If you're comfortable with numbers, you could also tell us percentages, because it sounds like you've done a lot of amazing things.
Let me come back to the language. So we, in Kinyarwanda, was a couple of years, actually before COVID, we had Kinyarwanda as one of the second largest data set after English. So we had about 2,000 hours of Kinyarwanda voice data sets. And now what we are looking at is by the end of the year, have about 10,000 hours that could help us make sure that every application is AI powered, like is in Kinyarwanda actually, not AI powered. And then when you look at other areas like service digitization, we have 100%, we've gone to almost 100% service digitization in the public sector. The next piece of infrastructure that is very, very important that we're working to develop is our data infrastructure. So that means that we are within government, we have several projects where organizations and institutions are developing their own data strategies, and also really looking at their systems to ensure that we have clean data, we have anonymized and secure data, and then all this is going to culminate into what we call a data hub that we're going to be building with RISA to ensure that there's an easy way for government institutions to be able to share data both within government but also with our counterpart in private sector where necessary, where useful, especially for businesses. So what that means is that when you have clear categorization, you have cataloging, and you have security of your data, then it means that you can share that data to be used for AI solutions. If you know, for most AI solutions, data is the biggest input that you could have. So we've been working for several years to really put down that groundwork, and we hope that in the next 2 to 3 years we will have robust data environment. We're also trying to understand from our side how can we attract investors, how can we partner with different countries to and other investors to really create the right compute infrastructure. That's something that we still have to work on. The last part, which is also very, very important, is skilling and having the right talent. And what we look at that in, I'll call it 2 forms. One is formal education. So our partnerships with organizations like Carnegie Mellon University, AIMS, they now have AI master's degrees in AI. Schools like Rwanda Coding Academy, their students that are graduating have amazing solutions utilizing AI. But then also through even our 1 million coder program that we started with NST2, we've been also looking at courses especially in data, and then we continue to explore how can we make sure that we get as many talent, develop the talent that we do need.
mvangiye kubarira 1 2 3 itugwamo. So 1 2 3 gwamo. One bro.
Kuwa mbere kanda akanyenyeri 3 4 5 akanyenyeri 2 urwego maze nawe ugwemo.
Ndanezerewe umunezero nsaba umutima, ndakora akazi kanjye ndacatinga data ntizishira enda nawe gwamo
wikwisondeka.
You're Still watching RTV News now to matters making headlines globally. A magnitude of 7.7 earthquake has hit Myanmar. It was followed by powerful aftershocks in Thailand and elsewhere in southern Asia. Thai authorities say rescue workers are searching for up to 90 people who are missing after building collapsed. Al Jazeera has more.
This skyscraper in Bangkok is 1,000 kilometers away from the epicenter of the earthquake in Myanmar. But the impact of the magnitude 7.7 earthquake was just as devastating in Thailand. Dozens of workers are reported trapped under rubble. Elsewhere across the city, buildings shook, leading to confusion and fear among residents.
I was sleeping in my bed, and at first I thought my head was spinning, so I moved to see what was happening, and things started swaying even more. I quickly ran to my kids and we took cover under the table, but it didn't stop, and it swayed even more than before. I heard things falling down from upstairs like stones raining down on us. I told my kids, we can't stay here, we have to get out.
The epicenter of the earthquake is located in central Myanmar near the city of Sagying. That's 250 kilometers north of the capital Naypyidaw. The U.S. Geological Survey says it struck at a depth of just 10 kilometers. A number of aftershocks have been felt across the region, including as far away as China's southwestern territory. In the northern Thai city of Chiang Mai, many homes have lost power.
The lights were flickering on and off during the first tremors. The light was on and then it went off. During the second lot of tremors, there was no phone signal and I couldn't make calls.
Thailand's Prime Minister has called an emergency meeting to assess the impact of the earthquake. In Myanmar, the military junta has declared a state of emergency. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of the entire news team, we wish you a restful weekend. Take care.